Thank you for joining us. Nigeria's economy demonstrated resilience in the first quarter of 2024, with its annual gross domestic product (GDP) rate growing by 3.84%. That's according to the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). This growth rate surpasses the 3.46% recorded in both the third quarter of 2024 and the fourth quarter of 2023. The services sector was the primary driver of this growth, boosting an impressive 5.37% growth rate and contributing a substantial 57.38% to the aggregate GDP. On the other hand, the oil sector experienced a more modest growth rate of 1.48%, a significant decline from the 12.11% recorded in the fourth quarter of 2023. In terms of nominal GDP, Nigeria's total value of goods produced reached 78.37 trillion naira in the fourth quarter of 2024. Marcel Okeke is an economist and consultant in business strategy and sustainability. He joins me now to discuss the latest GDP figures as put out by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). Thanks for giving us your time. Do we have Mr. Okeke, please? All right, I'll just shoot the question, hoping that is just a connection issue. Can you break down the 3.84% GDP growth rate in the fourth quarter of 2024, and how does this compare to previous quarters?
Well, the figure that has just been released by the National Bureau of Statistics shows an improvement over what it was in the third quarter and same quarter last year, the GDP, which is good, as an improvement, okay? But when you decompose the GDP, you see that services is still taking the lion's share, or contributing the largest quota share, which is not supposed to be, because it means that the real sector, what we call the real sector of the economy, which is really the productive sector, is not doing as well as is expected to do. When you talk about services, you could be talking about financial services, you could be talking about insurance, you could be talking about tourism, you could be talking about entertainment, you could be talking about Nollywood, and so on and so forth. So when you're talking about these ones, and sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and are not doing so well, then you can see that the economy needs some kind of rebalancing. But it's okay to some extent, since we are still in a positive region and it's an improvement. So we are expecting that even as we are in 2025, that the economic growth, as the GDP, will even do better. We just expect, believing that this year's budget will be meticulously and committedly implemented to achieve that kind of improved growth. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at the sectors that contributed the most to the GDP's growth in the fourth quarter of 2024. What would you say were the key drivers of their performance?
Studied that preponderantly in the services sector that contributed more than 57% of the GDP, and even its no growth is more significant than the real sector, like agriculture, like manufacturing, like construction, and so on and so forth. So the services sector. Now I'm saying that it goes to indicate that our economy is still heavily propelled by services or consumption, if you like, services or consumption. Because when you talk about entertainment, when you talk about tourism, when you talk about related activities, you are still talking about consumption, which is, I would say, to the expense of production. What we call the productive sector. The agriculture did not do so well, neither did the manufacturing do so well, in the figure released by the National Bureau of Statistics. So going forward, the economy needs some kind of rebalancing so that as a growing economy or as a developing economy, we will be driven by production and productivity so that when that is achieved, something like the food insecurity or food challenges we're having, could be properly tackled when agriculture begins to grow at a much higher pace or manufacturing begins to grow at a much higher pace, all of them providing the much needed employment, So that's what we want to see going forward as against the current picture where services, dominate everything. Thank you.
What would be some of your projections for Nigeria's GDP growth rate in 2025, and what will be some of the factors that will impact it?
What you're asking me to guess is a hard one because the world is experiencing what we can call a new world economy, as a developing new world economy. Since the inauguration of the latest president of the United States of America, has been coming up with all kinds of policies that will affect trade globally, and likely to some people could be deported from there. You have globalization will be turned to nationalism and all kinds of things. So with that, you don't know exactly how developing countries like Nigeria, largely import dependent and almost a product economy, how we're going to be affected. So given those variables that are beyond our control, and locally here, what we've been contending with, I have mentioned unemployment. I have to mention our exchange rate, which is yet to stabilize, and then high level of inflation that we are still fighting and all that. So I can only say that I don't think the GDP will do worse than what we have recorded now, which is something in the region of between 3 and 4%. That is still my projection, that the economy will still grow between 3 and 4% within 2025. Thank you.
Before we let you go, this growth rate is being commended, but what would be some of the challenges Nigeria's economy would face in sustaining this growth rate?
Well, I have mentioned some of them, especially high level of inflation. We are still contending with that. Even after the rebasing of the consumer price index, which measures the rate of inflation, we are still at 24 something, which by African average is high. And when you compare to the developed countries where you don't have up to 4% level of inflation, then you can see that we still have a long way to go in battling inflation. And when you also look at our exchange rate, you see where we are coming from, that as at May 2023, we are below 500 naira to a dollar. And as we speak now, we are hovering around 1,500 to the dollar. And so that is still high. And we're still contending with the shortage of forex supply to the market. We are still concerned there is still massive demand as against, shortage of supply of forex in the market. So going forward, these are the things we'll be contending with. And I have also mentioned, oil production and the price of crude oil in the international market. As I speak now, this week, the price of crude oil in the international markets has come below, our 2025 budget benchmark of $75 per barrel. The price of oil in the global market has come below that. So you can see the kind of challenges we'll be facing going forward.
There seems to be a lot of that in the coming days. But hopefully with the same resilience that they're showing, we might just see more growth. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much again for having me on this program. Thank you.
It's our absolute pleasure. Staying with economic matters, after 2 days of deliberations, the Senate has concluded its public hearing on the tax reform bills, paving the way for further legislative action on Nigeria's evolving tax administration framework. The hearing, led by the Senate Committee on Finance, provided a platform for government officials, industry experts, and civil society organizations to make submissions on key aspects of the proposed tax reforms. Among the bills reviewed were the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Fund Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Services Bill, the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, and the Nigerian tax bills. With the public hearing now concluded, the Senate Committee on Finance will review submissions before presenting its report with further legislative action in the coming weeks.
These bills, when passed into law, will also facilitate huge improvements in tax intelligence, technology deployment, and swift streamlining of the over 60 different taxes payable by manufacturers to single digits. This will be a glorious day for manufacturers in Nigeria if it happens, and it should happen. The provisions of the tax bill on free trade zone should be upheld as it offers clarity and aligns with the intent and letters of the enabling laws. We believe that it does not in any way jeopardize the incentives offered to the operators within the zone. Rather, it will ensure equitable tax treatment for companies operating in the customs territory and those licensed to operate within the free zones with respect to sales into the customs territory. Please.
The first appreciation goes to Mr. President because of his vision to actually transform Nigeria economy to that 1 trillion economy, and also to all our governors for their understanding, and most importantly to all Nigerian citizens. What you've seen here today is the result of engagement, which is normal process in this kind of democratic process or advancement.
Thank you for staying with us. A reminder of our top stories tonight. Nigeria's annual gross domestic product GDP grows by 3.84% in fourth quarter of 2024. Afenifere names Oba Oladipo Olaitan as new national leader, replacing late Pa Ayo Adebanjo. South African court dismisses claim of white genocide in the country. Let's tell you that the apex socio-political Yoruba organization, Afenifere, has named a new leader following the passing of Pa Ayo Adebanjo. He is Oba Oladipo Olaitan. Oba Olaitan will serve in acting capacity until after the burial of the late Pa Ayo Adebanjo, when he will assume office as substantive leader. The disclosure was made in a communique signed by the organization's Secretary General, Shola Ebiseni, and National Publicity Secretary, and issued after their monthly general meeting on Tuesday. The new appointment followed the approval of the recommendation of the National Caucus of the group. Oba Olaitan was called to the Nigerian bar in 1971, a political advisor to Governor Lateef Jakonde, a member of the Lagos State Executive Council from 1979 to 1983. Elected member, House of Representatives, and leader of AD in the House 1999 to 2003. He has been a member of Afenifere for over 45 years, serving in various capacities, including the National Financial Secretary under the leadership of Chief Reuben Fasoroti and Deputy Leader under Chief Ayo Adebanjo. Nigeria's Senate has referred Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions following last week's heated exchange with the President of the Senate over discontent relating to the sitting arrangement in the Senate chamber. The committee, chaired by Neda Imaswe, has been given 2 weeks to investigate the matter and submit its finding. New Central's National Assembly correspondent reports on the latest developments.
That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, Order 10 on privileges.
The controversy began on February 20th when lawmaker Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan resisted a Senate directive to change her seat following the defection of 2 senators to the All Progressives Congress. plenary on Tuesday, Senate spokesperson Yemi Adaramodu raised a motion under Orders 1B and 10, condemning the conduct of Akpoti-Uduaghan, saying the incident had sparked widespread and unnecessary media debates, forcing him to put in extra work to repair the public perception of the 10th Senate.
I reiterated that the Senate is not for skit making. It's not for content creation.
Some lawmakers called for disciplinary measures, while others are advocating for necessary action to de-escalate tensions.
Where there is no law, there's no sin. But we have laws. Then it means that any contravention of that law is a sin. And where there is sin, there must be penalty.
The Senate is an institution, and that institution needs to have at its dashboard integrity as number one.
Mr. President, we're sorry for what happened, because the Senate has been in the public domain for discussions that are definitely not for what we were elected here.
In his ruling, the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, blamed Akpoti-Uduaghan's unfamiliarity with Senate procedures for the altercation, urging lawmakers to maintain decorum during proceedings.
If you want to be a senator, please learn that this is our guiding principle. All the things that they are saying outside, here, this book here gives the power to the Senate president to even suspend a senator for at least 14 legislative days.
With the matter now in the hands of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, the chamber awaits its report, which is expected to determine the next course of action. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Staying with that story, we can confirm to you that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has filed a 100 billion naira defamation lawsuit against Senate President Godswill Akpabio, alleging that he made damaging and defamatory statements against her. The lawsuit, which was filed at the Federal Capital Territory High Court, also names the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Akpabio's aide, Mfon Patrick, as defendants. According to the lawsuit, the controversy began when Akpoti-Uduaghan's Senate seat was reassigned following a reshuffle. She resisted the move, leading to a confrontation with the Senate president. Akpoti-Uduaghan's lawyer, Victor Giwa, is seeking a court order to restrain the defendants from making further defamatory statements against her. Additionally, she is demanding 100 billion naira in general damages and 300 million naira in litigation costs. Corpses suspected to be victims of the Carlton Channel 1 flow station explosion have been found floating in the water 5 days after the incident. The NNPCL had in a statement said there were no casualties recorded, but residents of Iloma Toru, a community in close proximity to the flow station, are saying otherwise. My colleague Biola Festus has more.
After a massive explosion rocked the Cotton Channel 1 flow station. News Central's crew arrived in Iloma Toru, a community with the closest proximity to the oil field, to get the views of locals. Sadly, some of their folks who had gone fishing around the flow station at the time of the incident are yet to return home to them.
There's some people from this place go to that place to go and fetch water. Then the process, the boat sank because of fear and the fire. So as the boat sank, some people from this community go to that place to go and fetch them. They don't see them. Some of the women, then, some of them lost their baby. Because you cannot keep your baby because of water. You carry it along. At least we need breastfeeding, you give out the breastfeeding. Some of them love their husband. Some of them love their canoe. But you are used to canoe to do the business, making our finance.
Well, a lot of persons died till now. We are not able to give account of everybody. Till today, now as I'm talking to you, some persons are still missing. Then those persons on the vessel that got exploded, till now, there is no record about them.
Shortly after our arrival, News of corpses with bones floating ashore filtered in from a neighboring settlement.
As I'm talking to you here now, information that is reaching us now is that 2 corpses has floated on the river. Very soon, we have asked people to go and snap them and send to us.
Locals lamented that the accidents have cost them their livelihoods and put their health at risk.
Our boat and net, everything got burnt. Sake of this fire incident, my husband is in the hospital right now as we are speaking. It is around that Cotton Channel 1 where the fire burned, where he used to lay his net, there he used to fish.
The smell of the crude oil is affecting the people that are still around here. Some persons have been taken to hospital.
Cotton Channel Flow Station is the largest oil field within Oil Mining Lease 18, which is currently managed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. In a viral social media video of the incident, rescue workers could be heard lamenting possible casualties. Meanwhile, a release by the NNPCL stated that no casualties were recorded and that the incident had no impact on operations of the flow station. Residents of Ilomatori community are, however, calling for an investigation into the cause of the explosion, as well as an urgent remediation plan.
For we to resolve our problem, so we need government or NP to help us here, because no way for we to survive here.
OML 18 was previously managed by a consortium made up of Shell Petroleum Development Company, Total and Ajib. In 2015, Aeroton acquired 45% of the OML but was sacked in 2023, with NNPCL taking full control of the oil block. There are speculations that persisting accidents at the OML 18 block may not be unconnected to divestment of decayed facilities by previous operators to the NNPCL. In Bonny, for News Central, Biola Festus.
Dr. Fine-Face Dumnamene is the Executive Director at the Advocacy Center. He joins me now in the studio to discuss this further. Thank you very much for giving us your time. That report clearly states that NNPCL made a mistake with their initial statement. Does it bother you that, or have they made a retraction? Or it's still status quo at the moment?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think in the first instance, we've not had a retraction from the NNPCL. And their refusal to retract their error in the statement by saying that no one died at the Cotton Channel is one of the things we should expect when these multinational oil companies are all gone, when they must have met the requirements for divestments and they have to leave Nigeria. Because we'll be left at the mercy of our indigenous companies, that we may not have a say in what happens. You see, a lot of these indigenous companies, they practice what is even getting to be worse than what we had during the multinational oil companies. And the NNPCL is a practical example of what we are going to have. Remember, Aeroton was operating that facility. They took it over from them, and now they are doing the worse than Aeroton. Remember, there was an OSP on that particular facility that lasted for many months under Aeroton years back. And then even as we speak, before this particular incident at Cotton Channel, we also had another one that happened at Bukuma community. I think that fire, that spill is still on till now. They have put out the fire, the spill is still on till now. And if you look at other parts of the state where this oil company, NNPCL, is taking over, you have a lot of these incidents happening. There are two communities in the Ogoni area I must mention. One is called Busu, one is called Buenle. These two communities, people don't live there anymore as a result of oil spill that occurred from NNPCL subsidiary at the time, you know. So all of this put together, I think NNPCL need to come forward, accept the responsibility of giving, you know, incomplete statement or false statement to the public, and then apologize to members of that community, and then do everything they can to be able to address the issues there.
What do you think is stopping them from acknowledging this? Is it the possibility of penalties, or is it that they're looking for maybe a different argument to put forward? Because if what we see on the ground, as shown in that report, clearly shows damage to the environment and to individual lives.
Exactly. I think what is holding them back from owning up what has happened there is the fear of them accepting responsibility and possibly being sued to court, because they don't want to, get involved in some legal matters. But then there is no option here. If they fail to take responsibility, apologize to the people, engage with the people, and address the issues, then the people may take some actions. But I think they need to just do the needful by accepting responsibility, and then they can move on.
What does this say about the broader conversation around the oil and gas sector in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's very terrible, I must say, because the oil and gas sector in Nigeria since the 1950s, when oil was discovered, has been very devastating. The multinational oil companies that started here, we've seen a lot of environmental pollution that is spreading across the Niger Delta and other areas where oil is being produced. And some of these things are the reason why the people are now talking about the need for us to even be able to benefit from these resources, talking about resource control. And then we are talking about divestments, that we should begin to even transition to renewable energy, because the fossil fuel is not helping us. If you get to the Niger Delta, you can see the devastation of this particular incident. And then when you get to other communities in the Niger Delta, you see pollution everywhere. If we don't take time, what is happening in Niger Delta is going to give us a Niger Delta without Niger Delta people someday. Because look at the Ogoni area, where we have the cleanup going on by the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. You still have little has been done so far since 2016 that they started till now. Nothing has really been achieved. The process is still struggling, and new pollution is being introduced to the environment almost on a weekly basis. What we've been having in the Niger Delta is breaking news of a day or week that passes by without environmental pollution. Otherwise, the pollution there has always been very massive. And I think we need to really see what we can do to not introduce new pollution into the environment, especially as we are trying to carry out cleanup in the area.
The environmental impact you mentioned also has, there are concerns and talked about the likelihood that cancer among children can be traced to these oil spill and the lack of attention to cleaning it up. Is that a valid statement that can be verified?
It's a very valid statement that can be verified. If you look at the UNEP report on Ogoni that was released on August 4, 2011, a lot of these things are mentioned there. Some other publications have also come out to say that even pregnant women that live within meters from the polluted site have deformed babies being given birth to. These reports are available online, people could see. And people that live in this environment are also having a lot of respiratory diseases and illnesses. Remember that the UNEP reports, a verifiable report, the first of its kind in Nigeria and around the world, said that even benzene has polluted underground water, and the water table we have in the Niger Delta or the Ogoni area is the same everywhere. So a lot of diseases come with what is happening in the environment, environmental pollution and what have you. We also talk about suits in River State. At a point it was very devastating, such that you cannot come and meet anything you keep overnight. So it is very serious, and I think we need to be able to address this. What happened in Cotton Channel, you can see the thick smoke that escaped from the explosion.
And it's going to settle somewhere.
It's going to settle
so
somewhere.
What has there been, we know that the federal government oftentimes come out with statements condemning such restriction or perhaps negligence that might have led to such explosion, but has there been any indication that the federal government might work with communities to ensure accountability and some respite for the people?
There is no indication that federal government could work with the communities to ensure that they have respite for some of these things. The reason is very simple. Nigeria is a petrol-based state. It's a fossil fuel country. Everything they do is based on that fossil fuel. So when they contribute to environmental pollution through their joint venture partners, they are very slow in taking action, because if they take any action against those partners, it will affect them. It will affect the flow of the money, and the petrol dollar will no longer be coming in. So they are very mild in the way they handle things. That is why it is difficult for communities who experience things like this to be able to even get justice in Nigeria. They have to go to courts in the countries of origin of those companies before they can have justice. As we speak, Ogale and Bile communities in River State are at the London High Court with Shell as a result of pollution. Even these facilities, a lot of them were being operated by Shell before we talk about the divestment and then being taken over. So the entire area is something that the federal government is not taking any concrete action to be able to work with the communities, to hold the multinational oil companies and even the indigenous companies to account. So the system we currently have in Nigeria, whereby multinational oil companies are divesting to indigenous companies, is going to give us worse of environmental pollution than what we have had before the multinational oil companies will be leaving Nigeria.
Quite an unfortunate development. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for staying with us. The sit-at-home order by the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra in the southeastern region has continued to affect socio-economic activities in the region. News Central's special correspondent on investigative journalism, Marshal Anthony Ononye, who has been in Anambra State to monitor the security situation in the southeast, reports that while the east continues to grapple with the consequences, the people yearn for a drastic change. His report.
Awka, the Anambra State capital, on a typical Monday afternoon. The streets almost deserted, but for few motorists and pedestrians with the courage to step outside their homes, defying the sit-at-home order by the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. This is the ever-busy Awka market, which will normally record thousands of buyers and sellers on a day that is not Monday. Yet, for these marketers on a Monday, hunger and the need to put food on the table is what drives them out of their homes and into the marketplace to seek their daily bread, not minding the risks associated with defying the order.
Nothing they move for. I think it's since he moving now, nothing person buy something here. So nothing they move now. The team make me to come because of children. Because children, you know, they go to school. Because of children, make me to come. Because if you come to here, if you stay for here, now holla. So I come market to look people they pass. I never sell anything today. Every Monday they do. I think we see and now if it be Tuesday, no chance. People they move.
Nobody they come, they buy market for us. People know they come for buy for us. We they say before, but now no market. I don't know what I go talk. I don't sit down they look.
Yeah, fight us. No customers. No everybody. People gather. If you say now something go come and kiss us. So everybody go, run, everybody. So I don't have anything. No.
They lament the rising cost of food and other commodities, adding that they would rather get out of their homes to fend for their families than observe the illegal Monday sit-at-home.
With now, they cost. I don't have anything. If I go now, I go pay 3,300, go to Mobia and come back 600. I don't have money for go transport money. Gary Penta is 5,000. Now 5 children. No 1 Penta. You go finish a day. I don't have anything. No.
Emmanuel Osita of the Agune Chamber Security Squad is leading his team to guard the market today against possible attacks.
You can see around, everywhere is going. No learning, nothing. Everywhere is peace and calm. In the past, you dare not. The time where things started new, that's sit at home. You dare not come out. So I try to urge everybody to become as to go to their normal businesses. Anybody that is still sitting at home should come out. There's no cause for alarm. Anambra is good now.
According to an online report in 2023, micro businesses in the southeastern region lost over 5.4 trillion naira. The losses arose from Monday sit-at-home exercise being implemented in the region. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, a self-proclaimed freedom movement, began the implementation of Monday sit-at-home exercise on July 30th, 2021, but backtracked on January 12, 2022. However, the sit-at-home exercise seems to have come to stay every Monday, leading to revenue losses and disappearance of investor confidence in the region. While some people have come to embrace the Monday sit-at-home as an extra day of holiday, others cannot wait to get back to the normal business Mondays. For News Central, Marshal Anthony Ononye.
1 week after a 25-year-old young man from Ndagbo Fara in Umuahia North local government area of Abia State allegedly murdered his elder sister with her twin children, reactions have been trailing the sad incident. While the people believe it is strange to have such murder happening often in recent times, the family is devastated by the tragedy that has befallen them. News Central's Chinwe Ugele has been tracking the development.
This peaceful community of Ndamo Isiama Fara was unsettled last Tuesday with the news of the murder of 3 family members the same day. Pa James Swobani is a 79-year-old father of the suspect and victim, as well as grandfather to the slain twins. The only eyewitness to this heinous act is absent to share what he witnessed. Alone in the house when we called, Pat James picks up courage to narrate the unfortunate incident as he knows.
This boy, Nonga, or no, la, was I not a toilet? He was often served the medication. The toilet was not one inside la nearer. Not toilet, and corner as we remember if one wambo was 1 year ladron. Kabuliega, the mola maybe the Bukashi and Gogi if we shape. It was a woman.
The family have been thrown into a state of confusion, battling with the loss of a child and grandchildren, and what is likely to become the fate of Igwebike, their son.
I don't know.
The Abia State Police Command confirms having the suspect in custody and says investigations have been launched to ascertain his mental state.
We will do a discreet investigation, and part of our investigation procedures requires that we get a medical report from a medical practitioner in that field to tell us if the suspect is mentally deranged or not. And of course, the final of everything, the conclusion is not the police. Police is not the final say, the court is.
There are insinuations that it may have some underlying connotations.
Because killing your sister without a conscience, without reasoning, he is under influence of evil spirits. Somebody has projected it spiritually to defy that family, to close that family. Because definitely the guy will be in the custody.
A psychologist, Rosemary Nwogu, says there are factors that can push someone to commit murder.
No, some are drug influence, some are P group influence, P disorder, P group disorder. Like now, I'm not a thief. I have gone to university, and my friends in the schools, they have those issues, you understand? And they convinced me to join.
Whatever the findings of the police may be, the family of Pat James Nwubani will for a long time grieve for this multiple tragedy. In Omahia for News Central, Chinwe Ukele.
A South African court has dismissed claims of a white genocide in the country as clearly imagined and not real, as it blocked a wealthy benefactor's donation to a racist right-wing group. The High Court recently set aside a $2.1 million donation grant land Michael Bray wanted to make to a white supremacist group, ruling it was invalid, vague, and contrary to public policy. Bray reportedly wanted to bequeath the amount to the group to help it further its messages of racial hatred and separation. The ruling comes as U.S. President Donald Trump and his advisor Elon Musk accuses South Africa's government of mistreating the country's fed to the large-scale killing of farmers in South Africa, while Musk has condemned what he said were racist ownership laws and previously called out the genocide of white people. A short break. Business News is on the other side. Chairman joins us now for some business stories. Chairman, over to you.
Thank you so much, Felicity. Let's take a look at what's going on in the business world. Now, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has summoned MultiChoice Nigeria, operators of DSTV and GoTV, to explain its planned subscription price hike effective March 1st, 2025. The FCCPC cited concerns over frequent price increases, possible market dominance, abuse, and anti-competitive practices. An investigative hearing is scheduled for February 27th with potential sanctions if violations are found. The FCCPC assured Nigerians of efforts to ensure fair competition and consumer protection. Investors today are wearing an upside-down smile as today's stock market closed in the negative. Now, the all-share index today, February 25th, 2025, closed at 107,781.61 basis point, which is a 0.32% drop from yesterday's 67. Pardon me, this is the market capitalization, which closed at 67.16 trillion naira, which is indicating a year-to-date return of 4.05%. Now let's go over to the sectoral performances. Let's see what's going on here. Now the banking sector is down by 0.56%, and insurance has taken the hardest hit today, closing at 3.52%. Oil and gas at 1.04%. Consumer goods is down by 0.22%, and industrial goods is down minimally by 0.02%. Of course, investors should definitely be feeling a bit iffy about their investments today, but of course, we'll see what happens tomorrow. That's all for business news, and tonight continues.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello and welcome to sports. Nigeria's Arnaud Quadri delivered a commanding performance at the ongoing 2025 ITTF Africa Cup in Tunisia, defeating Benin Republic's Salifu Abdelkader 11-7, 11-5, 11-3 to top Group 2 with 4 points. He had earlier dominated Tunisia's Sabthi Michal by three sets to nothing. Olajide Omota also impressed, securing 3 straight victories against Cote d'Ivoire's Dosso Ben Moussa, Algeria's Keruf Sami, and Zambia's Banda Charles to qualify for the round of 16. Matthew Kuti defeated Buras Abubakar but fell to Algeria's Bolusa Medi and will face Benin Republic's Olabi next. In the women's singles, Fatima Bello advanced after her clash with Zambia's Kunda Mubanga was ruled a walkover and later defeated Madagascar's Adrian Tina. Aminat Fashola also triumphed over Ghana's Bortea Juanita and will face Algeria's Tama Hajar next. The competition continues tomorrow. Meanwhile, the zonal qualifiers for the 22nd National Sports Festival have begun in some parts of the country. In Damaturu, Yobe State, the Northeast Zonal Team Sports Competition kicked off, marking a crucial phase in selecting athletes for the festival in Ogun State this May. Governor Mai Malabuni, represented by the Permanent Secretary Mohammed Balumi, reaffirmed the state's commitment to a smooth and successful tournament while encouraging fair competition. He assured all participants of their safety and urged them to embrace Yobe's hospitality. The 4-day tournament features teams from Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe competing in football, hockey, volleyball, beach volleyball, basketball, handball, cricket, and Abula. To the international scene now, and former FIFA President Sepp Blatter is set to face a fresh court hearing regarding allegations of corrupt payments to French football legend Michel Platini. The appeal follows a previous ruling that cleared both men of wrongdoing. Blatter, who led FIFA from 1998 to 2015, maintains his innocence and claims he's been unfairly targeted. The case caters on a $2.24 million payment made that sparked a 7-year investigation. In 2022, a lower Swiss court ruled that the payment was legitimate, but prosecutors contested the verdict. As the appeal begins, Blatter remains confident that the decision will be upheld. He insists the case is baseless and continues to fight to clear his name. And that's all on Sports News tonight. It's back to you, Felicity.
Time now for some entertainment update. Sam Dandy, what are the big stories today?
Where do I even start? I mean, first things first, Omale is doing incredible. His album debut project, Boy Alone, is doing great numbers, and it just got gold certified in France. I'll bring you all the details after this quick break. And now in entertainment, Nigerian musician Omale has hit another milestone in his rather successful music career. Now the young star has just hit a new milestone with his debut album, Boy Alone, going gold in France. Now the 2022 debut album, which featured Canadian multi-platinum star Justin Bieber, topped Nigerian charts and peaked at number 12 on Billboard's US World Album Chart. Now Boy Alone is one of Africa's most streamed albums on Spotify currently, with about an incredible 900 million streaming mark. Now, going gold in France only means that the 27-year-old star has sold 50,000 units, of course, by the NSEP and the French recording industry. Now, Omale joined superstars like Wizkid, OBO himself, YBN boss Olamide, and Mali-born Aya Nakamura, of course, to achieve this milestone. Well, that's the biggest story in entertainment. I'm super excited about this one, especially even on the international scene. Taylor Swift doing incredible, but I wish we had all the time to take it. That's much entertainment. I am Sam Dandy.
And that's our offering tonight. You can catch up on all the latest stories by watching News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, we're on Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks as always for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.